Welcome to another SMRC eSports Summer Cup. Duncan, Vincent and Alston once again bringing you all the action and the racing tonight from the most easterly racetrack in mainland Britain. We find ourselves all the way down in Norfolk at the Snetterton 300 for one iconic racetrack, that's for sure, and some iconic action tonight. Powered by Reese Motorsport Insurance, presented by Sim Broadcasts and SMRC eSports Series. I can't wait. It's one of my personal favourite tracks. Andy Alston, it has seen many configurations over the years, notably the new infield section for the 300 and also the last corner quorum, which was changed with the Murray chicane as well. But Andy, it's set out to be a cracking evening.
Oh, it absolutely is. Great to be back for another round. Really looking forward to this one as well, because Snetterton, and particularly this 300 layout, is a very tricky track to get right. You've got to be good on the brakes, throw in a few fast sweeping corners and an understeering car into the bargain as well, of course. And I think we've got a recipe for three great races here tonight.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to this. Weather, as always, will be proper tropical. We should be in for some good stuff. But what we are noticing, Andy, unfortunately, maybe it's a mid-season thing, we are down on numbers tonight. We have 26 cars on track. So as Andy Alston pointed out in warm-up, almost everybody will score a point. Having said that, that's a bold statement. They've all got to get towards the end of the race. But a slight drop-off in numbers, Andy, isn't going to take away from the great racing that we have.
No, it's not. And the thing is as well, this is, I believe, the longest track that we'll have in this Summer Cup. It's just under 2 minutes or so for a lap. So it's going to be circa 8 laps or so per race. So the action is going to be pretty tight. And I think drivers are going to try and commit and get a move done early, because they'll know that it's just a case of track position absolutely crucial here. We've saw it in the past with this man in particular, Michael Weddle, who just sits back, bides his time and then strikes late in a race. I think this is going to be one where you've got to get your moves done early and then just try and hold on to track position.
The championship standings pop up in perfect time, and it's Stuart McFadden, Fraser Williamson and Adam Brown, the top three. The same top three that we had going into Oulton Park and leaving Oulton Park. Stuart McFadden's 100% record, though, was dented by Fraser Williamson in the Movano Sims racing team. He did take the third race of the day at Oulton Park. But a lot of good names scattered further down the leading board. Scott Smith from Knockhill, one of them. Matthew McBride, the Track Scotland driver. Michael McPherson, Josh Hislop. And we can class Jack Eyre in this as real racers now, real world racers, because Jack Eyre did have his debut at Knockhill Racing Circuit, along with Sam Corson, who currently sits in 11th place. But yeah, anybody else that jumps out from you in the standings, Andy?
Well, there's a number of drivers, really, isn't there? And it's the one that has to jump out to me, I have to say, is Michael Weddle in 27th place, because he missed a round, of course. So that's 3 opportunities to get points in the bag. He's a very, very quick driver, and one that will, no doubt, finish higher up in the standings. But of course, we've got another cup after this one as well, so we have to look at the bigger picture and the overall championship standings and how things will play out in that one as well.
Yeah, so a cracking entry all the way down. You can see Guy Brown in 41st place here. But Stuart McFadden is on screen, and we also do have an onboard lap for Stuart McFadden. So we'll see that at some point, and we'll give you a driver's eye view of a lap around the Snetterton 300 track. But right now, in first place, it's Fraser Williamson, Jack Eyre, and Josh Hislop. But as we watch McFadden go up the straight, let's step inside that car. And we'll see just exactly what it's like for Stuart McFadden, who went fast as we go on board with Stuart McFadden in towards Richie's. A very, very fast, flat right corner. And you can see just how much wheel you have to put in one of these TCR cars to get it round the corner in towards Montreal. In front of the famous tree there that's shaped like some sort of medieval figure. Round you come. Up towards the next corner, which is Palmer. A quick left-hander again, though very, very flat, which does promote a good bit of understeer as the car gets into the apex there and out towards the exit. Track limits will be monitored by Steve Burns, one would imagine, as they blast down towards Agostini. There's a slight crest in the road and then hit the brakes. Prick a braking marker, and Stuart McFadden down to third gear gets back across towards another good apex. This lap turned out to be a 158.4, and we'll keep our eyes on the timing screens to see what they do in qualifying. Hamilton, fast little kink towards the left before you pull it back up on the brakes for Oggies. Then through Oggies, it goes over a crest and into possibly one of the most important corners on the circuit. Slight crest, you don't see it on the camera too well there, but Williams. And why is Williams important? Because it leads on towards the Bentley Straight. A big, long, fast, flat straight which takes you down towards Brundle and Nelson under the famous Snetterton Bridge. If you don't get Williams right, you will be lame down here. But then how many times have we seen cars come through the left of Brundles, pulling it back on the brake for Nelson, and something happens in a touring car race? There's a big sausage curb on the inside as well at the apex Nelsons you don't want to hit. The bomb hole, iconic corner, crest right in the middle of it, or crest, not a crest, a dip in the middle, big compression before you come up to Coram. Big, long corner which tightens all the way around, and see McFadden on the curb all the way there, almost ditch hooking a rally style to get the car around there before you come to Murray's. Again, a sausage curb on the inside, don't hit it, don't run wide on the apex, because it's a long drive up that centre straight towards the start-finish line. But 158.4, Andy, you have to say, he's going to be a hard man to beat around here. That was a good tidy lap.
He is, and I cannot emphasise enough just how easy Stuart McFadden is make that look in the Audi TCR car. They are very, very difficult cars to drive. You turn in, you're hard on the brakes, and the car just wants to go straight on. And then when you put the power down, again, it doesn't want to play ball with you. It feels like it's a car that's constantly battling against you. But Stuart's very much got that under control. And the big thing about Stuart McFadden's game as well is the consistency that he brings, and that for me is absolutely crucial. He's a very fast driver, but it's all about showing that over the course of a race, and he is a fantastic example of just that.
So the time ticks up, but the qualifying time ticks down. If you get me, McFadden is on provisional pole from Michael Weddle, who's got himself into second place. We're looking at the Movano Sims racer. That's Fraser Williamson, winner last time out in the final race at Alston Park, and he would share the second row with Jack Eyre. James McIntosh is on the third row alongside Adam Brown, who currently sits third place in the championship. And the Reese Motorsport driver of the day as well. And that's something we're going to have to be picking at this round as well. We do thank Reese Motorsport for being involved. And Adam Brown was the guy who... Did we give it to Adam Brown last week? I'm correct in saying that, Andy.
We did indeed. Adam was very, very impressive last time out. And I think that was an event where there was a number of drivers that were up there for contention, but Adam was just very, very solid throughout all three races. And I suspect there'll be a couple of other drivers who are going to be there or thereabouts, and Michael McPherson might well be one of them, currently 7th on the grid at the moment. He was having a chat with a few of the drivers in Discord earlier, saying he's not had much seat time in for this event. So 7th place is not bad going at all if that is the case. He's a very, very quick driver in the real world and showing the same here in the sim. So it's currently at 2 minutes flat for him. Cameron Ritchie just behind, going into 8th place as well. Rory Bryant rounding out the top 10. So, yeah, it's all set for an interesting couple of races, I think.
Speaking with Rory Bryant just yesterday, and he says, "Oh yeah, the eSports. I better go and do some practice for that." So clearly a little bit too busy with his just general life, but obviously putting some time in. He's ahead of Scott Malcolm, as you said, and Scott Smith, the Knockhill Garage mechanic, currently in 12th place. So Scott currently sits 4th place in the driver standings after a splendid run at Alton Park. And I've got to say, his car here, it reminds me of Paul O'Neill's Egg Astra. And if you agree with me, just nod your head. Thank you very much. But I see egg on the side of that car. That doesn't sound too good now I've said it. It sounded okay in my head a minute ago, but yeah, we'll come back to that. A 159.3, Stuart McFadden, fastest lap. Adam Brown's got himself into second place with a 59.5. Michael Weddle, 59.6. Jack Eyre, 59.8. Fraser Williamson, 59. Well, he is just under the 2-minute bracket there. And only just when we look at that, 159.999, Andy.
Yes, there's getting under the bracket, and then there's that, isn't there? It's Fraser Williams in 5th place. He's in the pit lane. He's did his 4 laps. He won't improve. What's interesting here as well, Duncan, is there's a number of cars still out there on track looking to post a time. Yes, it is a long lap for this one. They've got 10 minutes to do it. But, so, I mean, the order here is already changing. Look at Michael McPherson now up into 6th place. But that man there, Stuart McFadden, still leading the way and still on a lap here as well. So, in fact, he's not going to make it because look at that. The time in the top left is now hit 10 minutes. The checkered flag is out. And that is that.
Oh, and he will come in at the broadcast channel later on and tell us I was up in my first 3 sectors. So one of the things, it's a shame they don't get to finish the lap, but McFadden is on pole from Brown. Weddle and Eyre share the second row with Williamson and McPherson on the third row of the grid. We'll not cover the grid too much just now because we end up just repeating it in about a minute's time, Andy, if I'm not mistaken. But you hit the nail on the head there, pal. This is going to be 3 good races tonight, or good races. But we've also calculated, Andy, we think they're going to be 8-9 laps at a push.
Yeah, it's looking like that. It's a much, much longer lap here than what we're used to in these SMRC eSports Racing Cups. So this is going to be one that's just all about taking the first lap nice and easy. I can't emphasise that enough. If you get into contact early on here, you're in serious trouble. You can perhaps get away with it to a degree in some of the shorter tracks, but this is one where you've got to keep your nose clean and then build from there.
You can see the grid in front of us. We talked about McFadden. We talked about the first 3 or 4 rows. We've got James McIntosh alongside Sam Corson. Further down, Scott Smith and Mark Heron. Where's Josh Hislop there? He is 16th place for Josh Hislop. Scanning down, Dave Christie is in 22nd place in the Camber media car. And somebody already flashing the lights on the grid. Yeah, they clearly mean business from the word go. Quite a few guys not here. Notably, we don't have the MSR guys. We don't have John Higgins Jr., Aidan Wilson, and I can't see Robert McGregor. And those guys had been getting some quite good results, but there's a hole in Adam Brown is not on the grid yet. This is where I get a bit excited, and yeah, then just kind of pops into view, doesn't he? But as it stands, Adam Brown not there. So would you pick a winner? Would you be happy enough to put 50 pence on anybody? You've been watching what Stuart McFadden's been doing at the starts. He almost let the cat out the bag a week ago or 2 weeks ago, Andy, saying, I've got a special tweak of the week at the starts. Do you know what it is yet?
Yeah, I thought he was going to give it away, but he chose not to. And let's see how he gets off this time round, because I think he's going to be one to watch.
Red lights on here at Snetterton 300 for the first race of the day, and away we go. And again, look at the launch by Stuart McFadden. You'd think that car had 4-wheel drive, and Weddle trying to get alongside the late grid Adam Brown, and it's side by side as they come into Ritchie's. There's contact, and that's Scott Smith, who's headed into the barriers in the background. Heavy contact for Scott Smith and somebody else involved in that, but it looks like he is already very much out of the race. Mark Hearn being the other car involved in that. Through the Montreal hairpin come the leaders as they head towards Palmer for the first time of asking. But look at the lead McFadden has got already. Weddle needs to get himself well and truly in gear and up to speed, or McFadden is going to check out again. It's going to be another Stuart McFadden benefit all over. But Scott Smith, he will be in tears after that one, sitting 4th in championship coming into this one, Andy. Disaster.
Absolutely, cars are out there, cold tyres. It's all about trying to get them up to temperature, but Stuart McFadden has set off into the distance, a gap of already 1 second between him and Michael Ferson. But looking here with Fraser Williamson, car number 369, he's got a little bit of contention from Adam Brown, who's now got the inside line, of course, but again, he's got a good drive on the exit, has Fraser. They go side by side here as they make their way down the straight, but Adam Brown looking like he's managing to make this one stick. It feels like a never-ending battle. Williamson run out wide. Now Williamson's ahead as they make their way down the straight again. We've also got James McIntosh looking to get involved alongside Michael McPherson, so great action here in the first lap at Snetterton.
You're right, Andy. That was like the never-ending battle for those two guys here, but they kept it clean. Williamson takes that in the Bavaro sim racing car. Through he comes as they head towards the bomb hole just now. Be careful how you say that in commentary, Andy. I've been caught out once with that one, and we won't ever go there ever again. Through goes Ryan Smith, car number 94, but yeah, away at the front, already coming through Coram, in towards the Murray's chicane. Is it a chicane? It's a hairpin. It's the last corner called Murray's, and through goes McFadden, chased by Michael Weddle and Jack Ayre in that 3rd place. So Jack Ayre with a better showing this time. If I'm not mistaken, he had a bit of a disaster in one of the races at Alston Park, and that put him on the back foot for the rest of that meeting. We're on board with Michael McPherson, car number 16, as we come down towards Ritchie's. This is a track that Michael will have raced many a time in real-world Formula Fords, with whatever it's Kevin Mills in the Spectrum Formula Ford 1600 team, but he will know this place very well. He's ahead of Sam Corson. Sam Corson down in 8th place. A few cars dipping wheels over the curb at the exit of Ritchie's, which for your health is pretty unadvisable in the real world. Christie goes through. Dave Christie in 14th place, car number 64 in the Camber media car. But again, back at the front, Stuart McFadden extends his lead in number 53 from 7 Weddle and 13 Ayre as they come in towards Agostini hairpin.
Yes, and Jack Ayre putting a little bit of pressure on Michael Weddle there for 2nd place on the 2nd lap of this one. And yeah, it's been a good start for Jack. He started this race, of course, in 4th, got a good getaway, and then looking like he's going to perhaps even make a little bit of a move here. In fact, just further back, that's Fraser Williamson, and with Adam Brown again. Adam Brown's not giving up, centimetres between the front bumper of the car number 8, but Williamson again's got a little bit of a good drive out the corners. He just seems to be getting the power down a little bit better, this Fraser, coming out the corners, and that's buying him a little bit of breathing space. Again, look at as we ride on board here with Williamson, he's got Jack Ayre giving him a toe down the straight as well, so that is crucially fending off Adam Brown and meaning that Williamson can retain 4th place in this race.
As we are already on the 2nd lap of the race. Oh, Williamson, huge closing speed on the back of Jack Ayre as they went in towards Nelson there. I thought for a minute there was about to be front to rear contact, or rear to front contact, whichever way you want to say it. But Williamson fast towards apex, but he's lost out now as he head round towards Coram and Murray's. Coram, great corner. It just seems to tighten on you all the way around. It is an overtaking spot into Murray's, but you don't want to do that until possibly the last lap, because then it's a blocking case up the hill, which is there towards the centre straight finish line. As we look down towards the green and white car of Michael McPherson. And he chases James McIntosh, 159.5. Look at that, McFadden. He's 0.6 of a second, 0.7 of a second, Andy. Faster than anybody. He's in clear air, which is something that does help him. But Michael Weddle is under pressure now from Air and Williamson. The battle is very much on for the last, for second, third and fourth.
Yeah, absolutely is, and 10 minutes or so left in this one as well, of course, so there's a long way still to go. Weddles just looks like he's got a couple of tenths on Jack Eyre at the moment, and what he'll be hoping for is Fraser Williamson to look and go and put the pressure on. A little bit further down, Rory Bryant, car number 27, currently in 12th place, having a good scrap with the dainty 4 car of Ryan Smith there, the yellow and black car. We've also got Russell Wheatley looking to get involved there, so a good little fight between them in the midfield, and yeah, I think it's look at that, 10 seconds between Rory and Stuart McFadden is the gap. So despite it being a pretty long lap, there's not too much between the leaders in the midfield.
I'm looking down the bottom of the timing screen. I've got Mark Heron, Josh Hislop and Scott Smith. Those guys must have all been involved in that start line first corner rush. They were all in round about the same area, so Josh Hislop will be pretty annoyed with that as well. But none other than Scott Smith in the Not Killbat car. Oh, went horribly wrong for him. I saw Dave Christie just changing position there, or 14th place for Christie just now. He's under big pressure from Sean Dobie in 15th in the 159 car. There goes Christie, and Dobie is the, we remember Scott Dobie? Was that not the Yes Sir I Can Boogie car, or was that somebody else? Was that Nathan? Yeah, that car's no longer in the race. Scotland are no longer in the Euros, so it's going quite fitting, that, Andy.
Well, yes, I was a big fan of that car, I have to say. Cameron Ritchie's just had a moment. Cameron Ritchie has gone off. That's bringing Dave Christie right up into 15th place. He says, thanks very much for having that. Ritchie still can't get that car on the track. He was having to put a little bit of opposite lock there to stop it from spinning around. He's losing even more places as he finally gets that car back onto the circuit, so not going to plan for him at all. Meanwhile, it's all going very, very nicely for that man, Stuart McFadden. 2.2 seconds is the gap. A little bit further behind, though. Bit of contact there with Fraser Williamson and Jack Eyre. Williamson has done the overtake, though, and into third place. Jack Eyre all over the rear bumper of Williamson's car, though. He's not going to give this one up without a fight. And, so it's a good bit of scrapping at the front now as well, which is something we've not really seen over the last few races. It's the cars are kind of just keeping things nice and clean in the opener, but that's not the case here tonight.
This is the SMRC eSports Summer Cup. We're at Snetterton 300 in the TCR Audis, and it's covered by Reese Motorsport Insurance. You like that? And presented by Sim Broadcasts, your live stream partner for your next sim racing event. Pete and Mo doing a fabulous job for myself and Andy Alston back at base, giving us all these pictures as we pick up the Stuart McFadden, our leader. And we've got to say, he's just a bit of a TCR specialist, is this man. But having said that, he was also pretty handy in the Mazda MX-5, the Global MX-5, if you remember. Unfortunately, he had to leave the championship midway through it because school exams were in place, and really that's a little bit more important. As we look at Adam Brown, car number 8, third in the championship, heads down the straight, and he is behind Jack Eyre and ahead of James McIntosh just now. Adam will be wanting to get a good solid haul of points here. Andy, that's something that you really have to look at the long game. It's all very well being quick in a certain race and getting pole position and winning, but you've got a big picture because there is a big prize at the end of this.
There absolutely is. You know, it's 105 points up for grabs at the end of the day in each of these rounds. So it's a big, big opportunity to leapfrog multiple drivers in the championships. But of course, the big prize at the end is a race drive in one of our SMRC championships. You could be behind the wheel of a Citroen C1 and taking part in the Cup here. So this is another great opportunity for drivers to take the jump from virtual to reality. We've got a number of drivers out there on track who have done just that. And someone else could be joining them next year on the grid.
McFadden sets another fastest lap of the race, a 159.2. Michael Weddle and Fraser Williamson have gone sub 2 minutes, and a mistake from Christie at the Murray's corner there, and that loses him not 1 but 2 places. Dave Christie finds himself down to 18th place now. Stuart Wyness just slips past, as does Gaz Brown. We had been looking at the purple car of Jackie Chalmers, who's having a pretty good run so far in 15th place, but the big hitters through at the front, and now I've got to say, Weddle looks like he's just starting to pull away from Fraser Williamson as they head down towards Agostini Hairpin, named after 15 times motorcycle world champion Giacomo Agostini, one of the all-time legends. And that's what the Snetterton 300 is, really littered with corners like that. You see Hamilton is the next corner, so there's lots and lots of legends around here. And for commentators, Andy, no more than the last corner, Murray's. It really is some great corner names.
Oh, it certainly is. And you like to see that in circuits, just lots of, when you go stateside, it tends to be turn 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. I like having the corner name there. It does add something unique to each circuit and gives it a little bit of personality as well. As we see, Nathan Lamont here, currently 19th place at the moment. He has got Cameron Ritchie, who had a little bit of an incident earlier on in this race, looking to try and make up some ground. And it's just over 5 minutes left in this race. Just want to give a quick shout out to our 10th place driver, Ryan Smith, because he's had a cracking opener here. Started this race in 19th place, and he's been making some serious ground up in the yellow 94 car. So he's going to be one to watch, because, of course, where you finish in this race is where you start in the second one. So it's been a good haul of points so far for Ryan, and he's got Jonathan Glover just ahead of him, and he could well make further progress.
So Mark Hearn's still in the pit lane. Hislop and Smith seem to have repaired their damage in the pit lane, and they're back circulating, which is obviously in a bid that there maybe is some sort of Stramash out there and they could get a decent point-scoring finish, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen as we are 10 minutes into this race. We're on to lap 6 as we pick up with Jonathan Glover in car number 25, the lovely blue and yellow cars. He throws the car with a huge amount of gusto and commitment in towards Ritchie's. The turn 1 here at Snetterton is extremely fast, 4th, 5th gear corner, I believe. But we come back on board now with Jack Eyre, and Jack sitting on the left-hand side. These cars are left-hand drive as he heads down towards the Agostini hairpin, and you can see just ahead of him, that is Fraser Williamson in 369, and just ahead of Fraser, Michael Weddle. So it looked like Flymo was starting to escape up the road there, get a little bit of gap between himself and Williamson. And Williamson and this man we're working with, Jack Eyre, seem to have just started to tag and creep on the back, and they're making progress, Andy, back up towards Michael.
Yeah, it's not a good lap last time round for Michael Weddle. It was a 1:59.9. Williamson and Eyre were both half a second quicker at least, so the gap has certainly been closed down now. But what we saw earlier in the race was Williamson, Eyre and Brown all scrapping. They've got a bit of a gap now between all of them, and now they're trying to ever so slightly rein in Michael Weddle. So will we see a little bit of a move for the final podium places? Because at the front it's Stuart McFadden, almost 4 seconds of a gap. If he just keeps that car on the road, I'm sure he'll collect 35 points in the opener here. But this is the fight we want to see. 4 cars all potentially up for second and third place in this race, and very much difficult to call.
Well, if you're a Fraser Williamson, you know that Michael Weddle is not going to roll over. Michael Weddle is in desperate need of points. So what does Williamson do? Does he stick the front end of that Audi in a gap that's going to be ever diminishing towards an apex? Does he try that and risk losing points and places to Jack Eyre and Adam Brown? Tricky one. Very, very tricky one for this guy here to have as they come up the main straight. Look, Jack Eyre tucked underneath the rear wing. It wasn't a good exit from Fraser Williamson, but he's having to go defensive in towards Ritchie's. He's putting Eyre round the outside. Jack Eyre, how brave are you, Jackie boy? Well, he's brave enough, but there just isn't enough grip, mechanical or aero, on that car to get him round Ritchie's at the speed he wanted to go round. And that's brought Adam Brown in towards the almost back of him there. There was a whole heap of closing distance there, diminishing quickly there, Andy.
Yeah, just locked up a little bit there, didn't he? But managing to live to fight another day is Adam Brown. But Michael Weddle, a little bit of a gap now, a couple of tenths of a second between him and Fraser Williamson. But I'm just thinking there about when does Williamson, Eyre and Brown, when do they try and make a move? I think they've got to do it towards the back end of the lap and maybe do it down the start-finish straight, because if you make a move in the infield, you're going to be compromised down the Bentley straight because of the tow that these cars generate. So if you make a move early in the lap, unless you can somehow get a really clean exit, you're almost a sitting duck to a degree down that Bentley straight. So I suspect Williamson, Eyre and Brown, they're just going to bide their time just now and then make a move in the final lap of this.
I think Michael Weddle knows it's coming, as we're going to have one lap to go. Weddle, easy for me to say, looks like he could possibly be struggling a bit in this car as they come down the back straight, down the Bentley straight, trying to break the toe. You'd think this was a Moto3 race and MotoGP, just doing slight side-to-side weaving, which Steve Burns might have a bit of a frown cast across his brow as we come through. Brunda was in towards Nelson. This is where it's going to start happening. I've got to say, Jack Eyre has just lost a little bit of ground, which is good. It's released Fraser Williamson onto the back of Michael Weddle. McFadden's gone. He's up the road. He's in a different postcode. He's almost finished this race. He's going to cross the line, and there's going to be one more lap to go as we go into blimp cam and look down at Michael Weddle and Fraser Williamson. That is the gap. Well, that's really the battle which is going to sort out the points, Andy. Williamson needs the points, as does Weddle. Who's going to want to give it up, though? I can't see either of them giving up.
Yeah, and if there's an incident between Weddle and Williamson, you've got a number of cars falling behind. Just look at that in the background there. They're all waiting in the wings, looking to pick up the pieces. So hold your breath here, folks. This last lap is going to be a very interesting one. Williamson always darts out there just to get Weddle looking in his rear-view mirror. He says, I'm coming for you, but maybe not quite just yet. Throws that car up the inside. A bit of a half move there. Again, just trying to unsettle Weddle as they make their way along the straight now and into Palmer Corner. Look at that. He's very, very close between those two cars. Will he make a move here into Agostini? Perhaps. Looks like Weddle's got it covered. Takes a bit of an inside, a middle line before pulling it out to the wide racing line, and that's just fending off Williamson. And again, look at that. So close to call.
Difficult one for Fraser Williamson going into Agostini because the road naturally turns to the right and you have to go even wider. Remember, you'll be going onto the dirty part of the track. But this is where Williamson looked really strong the last lap as they come into Oggies, over that slight crest of Oggies and in towards Williams. He got a really good exit. He's not having to worry about air behind him, and just watch the Movano Sims driver get a good exit through this corner. Try and power up in the slipstream to the back of Michael Weddle. Weddle again goes left, goes right, goes back to the left. He's all over the place, isn't he? But ultimately, he's just breaking enough of the toe as we go on to the blimp cam and in towards Brundles. Williamson has a look at inside. Is he going to shoot up the inside in towards? No, he can't at Nelson's. He's all over. He takes a big hunk of sausage curb, and that could be the let-off that Weddle needs. Jack Air all over the back of Fraser Williamson now. Just a little bit unsighted possibly there was Fraser Williamson by the car in front of him. He took a whole hunk of sausage curb. Now, Jackie, what are you going to do at the last corner? Are you going to have a look into Murray's? Williamson now finds himself defending as McFadden crosses the line for a nice, easy victory in race one. And it's going to be as you were leaving the last corner. Michael Weddle hangs on to that one after a bit of a mistake for Fraser Williamson, but he comes home in third place. Jack Air fourth. Adam Brown in fifth place. Then we get James McIntosh, Michael McPherson and Sam Corson all crossing line. And Andy, you have to say it, just a slight error from Fraser Williamson, something that we're not used to seeing.
Yeah, absolutely. Just took a little bit too much curb on the inside into Nelson there, and that was his chance there. It looked like he was trying to make the move, but Weddle, very, very good defensive driving as we come to expect from him, but not so much good driving at the back there. Unfortunately, got a number of cars all off. Sean Dobie as one of the victims in that one, but if he gets that car across the line, he'll pick up the point. But look at it, oh dearie me. There might be a couple of protests coming in this last lap, I suspect.
You don't say.
Yes, so a little bit of drama to end the opener is always a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah, we see Scott Smith coming through with a repaired car. Scott down in 23rd place, just out there clocking up some miles. I'm pretty sure he will come back strong in race number 2, but Stuart McFadden, dominant in race number 1 in his race car number 53, ahead of Michael Weddle number 7 and Fraser Williamson 369 in third place. Excellent driving from Stuart McFadden. What has he got? What has he got in his pocket that nobody else has, Andy? What were you looking for during the week to try and see what was helping him get that car off the line?
Well, he was alluding to the start thing, wasn't he? He wasn't giving much away, and I did suspect. I thought surely he's not going to say
it
to
was
us
like
what
he
he's
was
doing.
trying to.
Yeah. It was an interesting one, wasn't it? But he hinted towards he's got something that just gets that car away nicely in the starts. And this is the thing as well, that eSports is a way to bring everyone together. But depending on the equipment that you've got, there's lots of different things that you can use. For instance, Fanatec is arguably the leader in sim racing equipment. If you have one of those Formula Ones, if the Formula rims have got the double style F1 clutch, you can utilise that. So you're doing a clutch start rather than having to use the pedal. So things like that can also help buy a couple of tenths here and there. And whatever McFadden's doing, it's certainly working.
I've seen a couple of steering wheels that you can actually take from your sim rig and actually put it into the race car, which for GT3 racing is quite mind-blowing when you think about it. But that is what we've just had, McFadden, Weddle and Williamson. That will be the starting order for the next race. But yeah, Stuart McFadden was just trying to drip feed myself and Andy Alston little snippets of information the last time. And you know, to be honest, I thought he was about to tell us what he does as well, Andy. And I thought, well, that would be the biggest mistake you've ever made. But we've just seen him dominant again in race number 1 here at the Snetterton 300. And how will race number 2 pan out? That's what we're about to find out right now. We wait for the lights to come on. We're on with the Goodyear blimp because it's in the country. We have got 5 red lights. Away they go, and once again, it's the most perfect start in the world for Stuart McFadden. You'll be happy with that one. Weddell, Williamson and Ayre, away they go. These guys really need to do something about Michael Weddell. Not that Michael was holding him up, but can they get past and latch onto the back of the Pure Sim racing driver? Oh, up the inside, wide goes Weddell. Weddell goes off. Was there contact with him and Jack there? Not 100% sure. It's Adam Brown that's now on the back of Fraser Williamson. So, Andy, something happened there going into turn 1. Richie's unable to tell you right now. Wonder if there's a possible replay of that.
Yeah, just something's not going to plan at all there for Michael Weddell, but he's already on the comeback is the Rethink Racing driver. He's making a move there on his teammate Sam Corson in the blue car on the outside there. Weddell on with the orange stripe along the middle. He's got the inside line, of course, as they make their way into the hairpin here. Is he just perhaps a little bit too far back? No, he's been good on the brakes. But yeah, very, very interested to see what went wrong there at the start for Weddell.
Yeah, as we look for everybody going through Hamilton's just now, side by side. Sam Corson not giving an inch with Ryan Smith there. Smithy in the yellow car up the inside. There goes Jack Ayre on the comeback drive as well. So Ryan Smith, he loses 2 places and he's about to lose another place to Jonathan Glover. Jonathan sticks the nose of the Audi alongside him. But Ryan Smith, the C1 racer, not willing to give an inch, and being a C1 racer, driving on the grass, quite normal for a C1 racer. There's no problem to him. Glover tries to pick up a Dale Earnhardt style side draft as they come down the Bentley straight towards Brundles. But McFadden, Williamson and Brown away at the front. We were expecting Ayre to maybe have a manoeuvre up the inside there of Corson, but not to be. These guys both made their real world racing debut at Knock Hill, as we have a replay of the start now. Let's see if we can see what happens further back down here. But look at the launch by McFadden. It's absolutely textbook. It's perfect. He gets down towards the first corner. Now, was there contact with Williamson and Weddell? What happens? No, there's no contact. Weddell takes too much curb, gets the car sideways, and then it just puts him off the track. Jack Ayre, I think, had to take a bit of maybe a hunk of brake there just to avoid what was going on in front of him. But that, Andy, that looked like driver error from Michael Weddell. Yeah,
a very, very rare mistake from Michael Weddell there. Just a little bit too much curb in the inside. Again, these tyres are cold. The car's not up to temperature. You need to just take it easy for a wee lap or so. Unfortunately, Weddell's been caught out. However, it's not compromised his race too much because he's currently 6th place in the moment. In fact, he's up to 5th place. He's already made a move as Weddell. In fact, he's trading places up to 4th because there's been
Adam
a spin.
Brown.
It's Adam Brown. He's got that car facing the wrong way. It's been a disaster for him. He goes tumbling down the order and eventually gets his way back on track. Let's see what happened.
Adam Brown in towards Montreal hairpin. Does he do all on his own? He turns in. He's in middle car. He comes round and he's tagged just a little bit at the apex there. Adam Brown will be little bits of enamel coming off his teeth right now as he sits here facing the wrong way. Yes, he was maybe a little bit wide at the apex, but there was I'm going to say again, an ever-diminishing gap there. The other car really shouldn't have stuck his nose in. Now, was that James McIntosh? Or was that... we'll come back on that one later on. Let's reverse out of that one. Sorry, James, if that wasn't you. But contacts his 3rd placeman in the championship down a position, as this is Scott Malcolm. And Scott Malcolm is under all sorts of pressure from Stuart Wyness as they come onto the Bentley straight. That is not Scott Malcolm's real hair in the picture of him down the bottom of the camera. I can tell you that just now. That was one of his cranky wigs, I believe, or one of those wigs that he wears. But down the Bentley straight, it's a great chance for you to get a good slipstream, but no slipstream required behind. Look at that, sweeps round the outside of Brundles and then back up towards Nelson. Bit of out of controlness was that Jackie Chalmers making the manoeuvre. Jackie Chalmers with that purple car gets past, I think he got past Malcolm there, but he got past Wyness on the way in. Good stuff, that, Andy.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned Scott Malcolm there. He started this race in 23rd place, so he's been one of the real winners of the first few laps. So a very, very good start to his race number 2. Jackie Chalmers there. Still a bit of little bit of shoot wine, he's putting a bit of pressure on, however, back at the front, it is
Look at that lap time. Look at that lap time.
And look at the gap as well. 2 seconds already between him and the next fastest driver, which is 369 of Fraser Williamson. Michael McPherson's had a very good start as well. Started this race in 7th, already up into 3rd place. But look who is hot on his heels. It's Michael Weddle, recovering from that earlier incident as we ride on board with the Rethink Racing driver. A couple of tenths of a second gap between him and McPherson at the moment. But I think if you had said to Weddle initially when he gone off, would you like to be in 4th, 3rd place competing for there at this stage? I think he would have bit your hand off for it and be delighted, because that car looked like it was going purely into the barriers, and he managed to just wrestle it back onto track.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he will be delighted with where he is now from where and what happened at that turn 1. But he's got to try and deal with Michael McPherson, who is a fast man. Now remember, this was like Alton Park as well with McFadden. He dominated the first 2 races, but when it come to the reverse grid, where he started a little bit further down, he was just a little bit too, shall we say, physical, and there was a bit too much urgency to make every manoeuvre count, and ultimately it kind of cost him and let Fraser Williamson get that victory. So Fraser, well, if he can get a couple more second places and steal another victory, it's still game on for the championship. But Stuart McFadden, he just seems to be in a different league as Jonathan Glover gets passed down the main straight, the back straight, Bentley Straight, I'll get it right yet, with Jonathan Glover and Ryan Smith. Smithy thinks about going up the inside, but not to be. Glover runs a little bit wide through the apex of that corner, and Russell Wheatley very much involved, side by side towards the bomb hole. Not a place where you want to go side by side. There is a lot of runoff now. There used to be a tyre wall on the edge of that red and white stripy curb on the exit. Contact through Coram. These two guys showing each other no love, and off goes Glover, and he'll turn into rallycross style now. He'll hopefully get back on the track at one point. He comes back on at a rather funny angle, but a 1:59.1 for Stuart McFadden crossing the line, and a 1:59.5 for Fraser Williamson. So McFadden again another 4 or 5 tenths a lap quicker, and it's not just on this lap, Andy. It's lap after lap.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, and I believe that's actually faster than what he did out in qualifying too. I mean, the pace is just incredible. Now, see, if you're the race leader and you've got a gap of 2 and a bit seconds after 4 laps, surely you would be thinking, right, just consistent, bring it home, and I'll pick up the race win. McFadden's going fastest lap every time round. It's like he's just in the zone and knows no other way but to just go flat out. And it's very, very impressive, I have to say. But look at this. He's just the next face. There's the next face. The next car there. It's a good bit down the road, and he's just making this look oh so easy. Very much one that's up to speed and comfortable with this TCR car, because they're not the easiest to drive. Fraser Williamson was saying this isn't a car that he's too keen on, but again, his performances have been very impressive throughout so far. And it's been really, really impressive to see how McFadden's just came back into this Summer Cup, and he's right on the pace.
Stuart McFadden is about to put Scott Smith a lap down. That's the car that's ahead on the road just now, ahead of the Pure Sims racing car. And Scott Smith, I'm pretty sure he will see this happening, and he'll get well out of the way as they come out of this next corner. He won't want to get involved in the leader as they go through the bomb hole. As we look back towards, this is the only time we've had a car that we can actually look back at Stuart McFadden, because he's had a clear road all the way up. Scott Smith, really professional bit of driving there, stays off the racing line, doesn't compromise really himself or McFadden. Yeah, that was good driving for Scott Smith. Now, this is a good chance for you, Scott, to get a good lap time as he tries to tuck in the back of Stuart McFadden and see just exactly how is he putting these laps together. But you're right, Andy, when you're a racing driver and you're in the zone, the best thing to do is to just keep in that zone, keep in that rhythm, because when you try and break the rhythm, that's when you make a mistake. Now, McFadden's done a 1:59 flat. That, again, is another lap quicker than the last one, which is quicker than qualifying again. So he really is on fire here. But if you're in that zone, just keep hitting all the markers, keep hitting the braking points, and you'll find that the lap time does come quite easy. But you start slacking off, that's when you make a mistake. That's when you can snatch a break into one of these corners. And that's all it takes. We've seen many a people or many a person run wide at one of these corners. And one person not wanting to snatch a break right now is Michael McPherson in car number 16. The white and green car has still got Weddle issues all over the back of him. And Michael Weddle, well, he's probably looking in his mirror now, Andy. I think you'll be seeing James McIntosh in the 436 car starting to claw into the little bit of gap that he has got behind himself. And is that because McPherson's holding him up? Well, maybe, but the lap times look pretty comparable.
Yeah, McIntosh has had a good race so far, I have to say. Just keeping that car nice and clean, out of trouble, and picking up the points as they come, and that is so crucial as well. But as we ride on board with car number 7, Michael Weddle, who's got McPherson just ahead of him. Looks like there's about 3 tenths or so between the two cars, but now this is where the toe starts to come in, and that's allowing Weddle just to keep McIntosh at bay, because McIntosh, he's of course got the toe, but he can't really do much with it because the car in front is getting pulled along that straight as well. So it's a tricky one for McIntosh to try and do anything really here, because look at that there now. There's a good few car lengths and then some between him and Weddle, so he can't really get into contentions. He's looking for McPherson and Weddle to start scrapping, perhaps go door to door, and then he can come in there and pick up the pieces after that. But just over 5 minutes left to go in this race, and still very much all to play for.
Great work with Sim Broadcast, giving us some on board of this battle we're talking about there. That's James McIntosh, who we were on board with all the way down Bentley Straight, through Brundles, Nelsons, and in towards Coram. And he is eyeing up, well, he could be eyeing up a podium actually in that track Scotland car. And Adam Kyness will be pretty happy about that. McFadden, Williamson, McPherson still the top 3 as they come up towards chalking off another lap. That is Jack Eyre in 6th place, and Jack Eyre, like Michael Weddle, will be ruining what happened at that first corner, because Jackie Willie was quick earlier on, quick in race number 1, and just a little mistake, just caught out, I think, with where Michael Weddle was actually heading. Maybe just unsighted him a bit, and he's bit down to 6th place. It's been a good comeback. Sam Corson, another of the Rethink Racing Armada, currently in 7th place, ahead of Ryan Smith, Russell Wheatley, Scott Malcolm, Jonathan Glover, and Stuart Wyness, who we're looking at just now, ahead of Jackie Chalmers. And Adam Brown has just made a position out of Richie's in towards the Montreal hairpin, getting past Jackie Chalmers into 13th place. Stuart Wyness, though, well, he wants a bit of Jonathan Glover, doesn't he? He's all over the back of him as they come through Palmer's and head towards the Agostini hairpin. And you can see what I was talking about earlier, Andy. The road naturally kinks to the right. So to have a go up the inside of Agostini's, you really have to be almost on that left-hand side white line. And it is dirty, it is over a slight crest, and it's not an easy manoeuvre to make.
No, absolutely. And you've got to be brave on the brakes into that corner as well, and get a good run on the exit as well, crucially, because then you've got Hamilton and Augies to contend with, let alone the Bentley Straight. But as we follow the action back at the front, Stuart McFadden, a gap of 3.4 seconds between him and Fraser Williamson. It's been another clean and consistent drive from the Pure Sims driver. But here is Fraser Williamson, currently 2nd place at the moment. Just got Scott Smith ahead of him. Scott will get out the way, no problem at all. Michael McPherson, though, still coming under pressure from Weddle, and James McIntosh closing that gap there as well. Jack Eyre also, the purple car number 13, looking to get involved in this action too, as we ride on with Michael McPherson. Look at that, he's just got that couple of car lengths again between him and Weddle, just seeming to, I mean, it closes right up. I was just going to say, McPherson looking like he's managing to gap Weddle ever so slightly, but then when they all bunch up again into Murray's, it's a very different story. Again, Weddle got the toe here down the start finish straight. Again, I think he's just a little bit too far off, making a lunge into the first corner. Thinks better of it. McPherson closes the door, but it's been a good scrap between both of them, and a good race so far from Michael McPherson as well.
And we're at the business end of the race now as James McIntosh drops a wheel off going through Richie's, which is not advisable, as we've said earlier on. Weddle very good through the apex of the Montreal hairpin, but yeah, McPherson gets good exit up towards this next one here. And got to say, McIntosh is almost in there now as Adam Brown getting a little bit close to Stuart Wyness going through the first corner of Richie's here. Adam Brown, this is where he got turned around, if you remember, early doors in the race, and that put pay to him getting any chance of a podium again. But right now Adam sits in 13th place. Unlucky for some and very much unlucky for Adam. Car number 8, the black and grey car and white car with the orange wheels, and this is going to be mirror signal manoeuvre on Wyness quite quickly here. As he goes round the outside, Wyness tries to defend on the way in. Adam Brown surely can't go round the outside, can he? As they come up towards Hamilton, getting a nice bit of racing room given to him there, and that's good to see. And a little bit of side-to-side contact almost there. But through goes Adam Brown up into 12th place. Another position gained on this lap number 7. As we go back to the battle, though, with McPherson and Weddle. And this is almost, Andy, you can see a 3.5 car battle. Is up the inside into Brundles. There's contact. Weddle throws it into a gap, but still on the inside is McPherson. Weddle will try and get the cut back on the exit towards the bomb hole. He's chased towards the inside of the track, and he's given a little bit of a nudge. Well, Robbins racing, Michael. He's stuck it into the side of McPherson on the way in towards Brundles, and he's just had a little bit of it back, going in towards the the bomb hole there. Now round Coram. He's fighting for his life here on the podium because McIntosh and Air are very much there, Andy.
A cracking run out that corner from Jack Air there. The purple car goes side by side with James McIntosh as well. This is these two scrapping for 5th place, but McPherson's got a little bit of a gap now between him and Michael Weddle, and this will almost certainly be the last lap of the second race here this evening. I dare say McPherson's got the final place in the podium. Good bit of a gap now between him and Weddle, but further contact, Jack Air in contact with McIntosh. McIntosh goes off to the left, and it's all ended in tears for car number 436, James McIntosh, into the grass and well down the order here tonight.
Ooh, I think the less said about that, the better from the commentary team, because Sim Broadcast will, well, they're in charge of our microphone, so we'll leave that just now. But McFadden, Williamson, McPherson still the top three. Jack Air with a manoeuvre at the first corner there. It looked like the manoeuvre was on, the door was then closed on him, and yeah. Well, Jack doesn't like to do things like that. He likes to race clean, but that's just one of these things. It's when you get a one-make series, Andy, it's always going to be that close. As we're still in with the Adam Brown comeback drive here. He goes up the inside of Jonathan Glover, does he? Glover sees him coming and almost exits stage right going in towards the corner, and that should give Adam Brown the position as they run up towards Hamilton. That'll put Adam into P11, and that has been a pretty good comeback after facing the wrong direction earlier on. But we are on towards the last lap, and we have to remind everybody, car number 53, the Pure Sims racer, well, yeah, Stuart McFadden is somewhere on the track, and he's just been, can I say majestical? I think I can. I think that's a word, Andy. He's been so good from the start of the race. He's never put a foot wrong. Here we see him on the blimp cam, coming round through Coram towards Murray's. It's going to be 2 out of 2, and Shirley McFadden, well, he will want to make it 3 out of 3 if he can. He comes through the last corner, accelerates the Audi TCR car up towards the finish line, up that centre straight. He will take another good victory. Second place will go the way of Fraser Williamson, and it looks like, yes, it's going to be Michael McPherson that holds Michael Weddle at bay, only just, as they come across the line for 4th place and 5th place. Jack Air, well, he comes home in 5th. Well, what can you say about Jack Air? He won't be too happy with that. Sam Corson comes across the line. 7th place will be Smithy, Ryan Smith, Russell Wheatley, Scott Malcolm, James McIntosh all across the line together. But Andy, a second race, a cracking second race.
And a rather dramatic final lap as well, I have to say. I wasn't too sure how that was all going to play out. But McPherson holding on to the final step of the podium. Michael Weddle, a good scrap between those two in that race. But yeah, it's been. We did think this was going to happen at Snetterton. We did think there was going to be lots of drama, and we've certainly had that in the first two races. And of course, we've got a reverse grid for the finale as well. So yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how that one pans out, because it's Russell Wheatley who'll start that race from pole position.
Russell Wheatley on pole position. That'll be his first visit to the front row, and he'll be joined by Smithy, number 94, Ryan Smith, and Sam Corson and Jack Air. Well, Jack Air must be favourite for a good result in this last race that we're coming up, but yeah, things got a little bit sticky on that last lap at the first corner, and it was an energetic last lap, let's say, but fastest lap of the race, a 59.0. Andy, 59.0 to Stuart McFadden. That's just, it's almost rude, isn't it?
Pace is outrageous. It's absolutely outrageous. You know, he just whatever he's doing, he's got that car hooked up very, very well. And you know, this is a track that's so tricky to get right and do it on a consistent basis as well. There's so many corners looking to catch you out, and McFadden is just soaring off into the sunset and making it look easy.
A 5 second was the winning margin for McFadden. Easy for me to say there. I don't know about you, Andy, but it feels like I'm sitting in some sort of tropical rain or tropical hotel room right now. It's about 100 degrees in this room that I'm in. Got the sun beating in through the window, and all the computers and monitors do make it feel pretty hot. So we look forward to race number 3. Remember, this is the SMRC eSports Racing Summer Cup. This is the TCR edition, and it's brought to you by Reese Motorsport Insurance. It's covered by Reese Motorsport Insurance. Save money on your insurance. And we'd like to thank Sim Broadcast, live partner for your next sim racing event. Thank you very much, Pete and Mo back at base. Andy, as ever, it's great sharing the virtual commentary box with yourself. But, well, you know, you're not going to be here for the next one. You're leaving me.
Yeah, I'm away on holiday. I feel quite bad, actually. You know, I saw the calendar come out for the Summer Cup, and I went, oh no. I'll still be watching, of course, but well, if I'm allowed. But yes, the plan is to watch the next event because I think Donington will be a very, very interesting one as well. I'm a real fan of Donington. I love that track. And I think that'll be a really, really entertaining 3 races. But of course, we were meant to have Not Kill for the 5th round. Unfortunately, it wasn't released for this current season in iRacing. So we're back to Silverstone, I should say. But it's the international configuration for this one. It was the national one, of course, at the start of the Summer Cup. So it's going to be a different test for the drivers.
Facebook, SMRC eSports, YouTube, SMRC, and Twitch for sim broadcasts if you want to spread the word and get everybody watching this with us. We're live on Wednesday, 30th of June. This is where we are just now. And the 14th of July, Donington Park, as Andy says, will be our next edition, round 4. And I'm a little bit sad that we don't have Not Kill on, to be honest. It would have been great to have the local track, which all these drivers know oh so well. But the TBC, as Andy says, will be filled with Silverstone International. And then August 11th, we head to the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. And then I think me and Andy get maybe an hour or two off. And then we start up with the next the next cup as well. And the next cup will be interesting, Andy. If I'm not mistaken, we actually go single-seater racing for will that be the Autumn Cup?
Yes, we go with single seaters for that one, and it's a Formula Renault. It's a 2 litre engine, I should say, that version, because you do get the 3.5, but it's the Formula Renault 2, and that is a very, very popular car on the iRacing platform, and I think it'll be something quite different for the drivers as well. It's a change from the tin tops that we've got here with the Audi TCR cars, and of course we're going into the realms of all sorts of downforce and everything else. So that's going to, I think, getting your head around that is a big thing in iRacing, and going to and trusting the downforce that the car's giving you. So there's some drivers who are happier in single seaters, or some that prefer the tin tops. So again, don't be surprised if we see a couple of different drivers come to the fore in that one.
Having a look at the Discord chat, there's Dave Christie just saying, this is not for me, I'm not fast enough. Come on, Dave Christie, we know you're fast enough. Who will be a Reese Motorsport Insurance driver of the day? Well, Dave, it could be you if you give us a great result in race number 3. And why not drop us a comment if you're watching on the Facebook? Drop us a comment. We could, myself and Andy can go back and have a look at that later on. I don't know if you've got any means of looking at any comments that come in during any of this, Andy, but we'll do our very best to get back to anybody and everybody throughout the course of time. But Reese Motorsport Insurance, driver of the day, myself and Andy will pick that. Have you got anybody in mind, Andy? I have. We've got less than a minute till the next race begins, but who are you thinking so far?
I've got one driver in mind, but I don't want to jinx it just in case this last race.
Oh. There's
one driver I think who's been doing very, very well. But there's a number of them that have been doing very well, but there's one driver I think that is just in front at the moment. But let's see how the third race goes on. I suspect if you're watching, there might be a couple of drivers that you think could be a contender as well. But third and final race, it's still very much all to play for. And I think it will be interesting to see how it all pans out.
Josh Hislop's going to sit out the last race. He's got a problem with his sim rig, so it looks like his force feedback keeps dropping out. So hopefully we'll get that sorted for the next round. So great shame not having Josh Hislop, who was debuted at Superlap Scotland a couple of weeks ago and shared his car with his brother Sean Hislop, and they both had a great day in Superlap. And Josh was also racing the same car in the Mod Sports too. He was punching way above his weight. So great to see the little Renault Clio going faster than it's ever gone in a Mod Sports race. But it's the first Mod Sports race it's ever done, so I'll just take that statement back. So we're about 10 seconds away from the start of this last race. It's the heating here, Andy. I'm sorry. It's so hot. I've started to got a bead of sweat on my forehead now. Let's get ourselves together for race number 3 from round 3, Snetterton 300, for the SMRC eSports Summer Cup. Brought to you or covered by Reese Motorsport Insurance Specialists and Sim Broadcast livestream partner for your sim racing event. Cars are starting to come up on the grid. Russell Wheatley's on pole from Ryan Smith. Sam Corson and Jack Eyre with Michael Weddle and Michael McPherson making up the third row. The fourth row for Fraser Williamson. Stuart McFadden, the danger man, 8th place, with Scott Malcolm, James McIntosh, Aaron Brown and Jonathan Glover in 12th.
It's Stu Wyness in 13th place, followed by Mark Herron, Jackie Chalmers, Nathan Lamond, Gaz Brown in 17th, Sean Doby in 18th, John Duncan and Cameron Ritchie in 20th place.
So here we go. Oh, Ryan Smith has made a mistake there. Ryan Smith's already moved, hasn't he? He's out of his pit. his start box, so Ryan Smith will get a penalty from that, and he's also going to lose the position straight off to Sam Corson. Russell Wheatley, sorry, makes an absolutely perfect start. You'd think that was Stuart McFadden, and where is McFadden? You keep your eyes further back down, Andy, and we'll see exactly how this goes through the first couple of corners, because this is where it could all go wrong. It looked like McFadden was looking up the inside down towards the Montreal hairpin, as Wheatley makes a perfect start for the first couple of corners, and through he comes. There's been a stramash at the back. As Archie McPherson would say, there seems to be a fairly large hole. Yeah, that's Fraser Williamson facing the wrong way, so disaster for the Movano Sim Racer. 369, Fraser Williamson, and where's Stuart McFadden? McFadden with huge damage on the back, Andy. Is that going to affect the handling and aero of that car?
Two championship protagonists having serious problems with their cars. The left rear of Williams has all got wrong. Let's see what happened though.
In towards the Montreal hairpin. Williamson's on his own there. McFadden looks like he's just minding his own business. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. James McIntosh, I think that was coming in. Well, I don't know what happened there. They must have just not seen any cars in front of them. Huge damage for the back of Fraser Williamson and McFadden, and that was that's certainly going to give you a bit of whiplash for the morning. So where there's blame, there's a claim. Reese Motorsport Insurance hopefully won't be getting any calls from any of these drivers, but it's a good tagline to bring them involved, Andy.
Well, it was a case of locking up, I think, going into Montreal, and everyone else was just sitting passengers, nothing they could do as well. McFadden's got huge damage. He's off as well. The race leader is off at Brundle. He stopped that car. Oh dearie me, he's got it back onto a bit of tarmac, but I don't know what's going on there with that car. Fraser Williamson though, Fraser Williamson is in the pit. Look at that car, 369. Look at your timing sheets. Williamson's had a moment. It's been the damage. He's binned it. Just binned because of the damage. He's decided to hold the reset button, put it into the pit, and he'll go and get the repairs. Whether he comes back out on track towards the end, let's wait and see. I don't know, but it's not been a good race at all for the Movano Sim Racing driver. Back at the front, though, it's Michael Weddle in the lead of the race. He's just got the inside line on Sam Corson. Jack Hare rounding out the podium as things stand. Michael McPherson, the green car, hot on his heels. So look at that, 4 cars split by a second or so as they make their way into Montreal, all through cleanly at the second time of asking. Stuart McFadden is doing a great job of holding on to 5th place, but he's got to be a sitting duck here for Adam Brown, surely. He goes on the outside to defend the orange wheeled alloys of Adam Brown. Again, he's just not been able to make a move, but that car has all sorts of damage to Stuart McFadden, and Adam Brown's going to know that. Perhaps he'll bide his time and then make a move down the Bentley Straight.
Ryan Smith, Fraser Williamson, James McIntosh, Jackie Chalmers, Scott Smith, Jonathan Glover, and we know Josh Hislop wasn't starting, all out of the race. We have got 19 runners left circulating the Snetterton 300, and the 19th place car is Dave Christie. What a shame for Russell Wheatley leading the race and possibly lagged out and lost that one down at Brundle. McFadden, even with that damage, is absolutely on it here as they come through Williams and onto the Bentley Straight. With all that damage, he's still making up positions. That's Jack Hare. He's going to pop out from the back of Jack Hare. If he can make this move, it'll be impressive. He's also got right behind him Adam Brown pushing Jack Hare forward now as they come in towards Brundle. Is McFadden going to lose that position because Brown has been pretty racy and there's contact on the way into the corner and off goes, though. It's one of those funny moments again, isn't it, Andy? I forget what they're called. It's like a net code.
It's a net code issue there. It's a net code issue. Unfortunately, it was a kind of hold your breath moment. It's 3 into Brundle, does not go, but it's not. There's no malice in it. It's just one of these things. The cars will go side by side. iRacing makes it think that that's an incident, and one car is off and into the grass. And unfortunately, it was Adam Brown. Unfortunately for him, so he goes tumbling down the order. Meanwhile, at the front, Michael McPherson still in podium contention. Jack Hare very much hot on his heels. McFadden does have damage, but as you say, Duncan, he is still managing to pull away. Time last time round on the board, 2 minutes 0.8, so it's a decent lap from the Pure Sims driver. Scott Malcolm there currently in 6th place as well. He's had a good start to his race, up 3 places from where he started. A couple other drivers just worth giving a shout out to. John Duncan in 9th place, started this race in 19th. Rory Bryant started in 24th, up to 11th already, so a couple of real winners in amongst all the drama so far, as Williamson's back on track, but he's bailed out again. He's letting the front runners through. There'll be significant damage on that car, I suspect. But he'll be going out there just to try and get a couple of points, so that's why he's out there on track. If he just parks that and goes into the and goes into the pit wall and thinks better of it, he's then risking not getting any points. But if he's in there 20th at the moment, every point counts, Duncan, in this championship fight.
That was going to be my question. Is he out there just trying to get a couple of points? Because you never know what's going to happen to Stuart McFadden. He currently sits in 5th place just now. But it's Michael Weddle, Flymo, kicking up the dust as they go onto the Bentley Straight. Sam Corson right behind him right now, number 68. These guys both Rethink Racing drivers, if I'm not mistaken. Then Michael McPherson, car 16, just holds off Jack Eyre and Stuart McFadden. But that's definitely the battle, and I don't think it's going to stay that way. Having said that, taking nothing away from young Michael, he's driving superbly here at Snetterton 300. As we come towards the bomb hole, the car compresses in the middle of it there. You can see the compression marks on the track where certain cars, certain formulas will bottom out and take a whole chunk of tarmac. Now, let's see what Adam Brown's up to here, coming down towards the Brundle corner. There's Adam Brown there. He goes in towards Brundle. He's sideways on the way in. No! Dear, oh dear, when it's just not going your way, it's just not going your way. There's nothing you can do. He's on the grass. He tries to get back off the grass. Adam Brown, Control, Alt, Delete. It's just not working for him, Andy.
Did very, very well to keep that out of the barriers there as well, because we saw that time and time again in the real world. You get it all wrong into Brundles, then you go into Nelson and it's game over. So
Andy, look at the fastest lap of the race. McFadden last time round, fastest lap of the race, 59.2, 159.2. He goes underneath Michael McPherson. That's not going to work in the exit. McPherson will have more momentum. But even with that damage, Andy, Stuart McFadden is heroic.
Yeah, and perhaps it's not affecting that car as much as we suspected. Maybe it just looks a little bit more cosmetic than anything, but I would have thought surely the rear end of that car will be a little bit unstable. But McFadden is driving around the problem anyway. But McPherson and Eyre both scrapping, and McPherson's left the door open there arguably, and that allows Stuart McFadden to come in and take the place. He'll say, thanks very much, I'll have a bit of that. And now he sets his sights very much on the Rethink Racing driver of Jack Eyre.
Yeah, credit to Stuart McFadden, driving with this huge damage. As I got a little bit worried there as Michael McPherson goes in, because once there's already damage, it won't take much more contact to make that damage worse, if you know what I mean. I'm worried about the back wing maybe coming detached. And again, it might make it seriously quick down the back straight here. He comes up towards the back of Jack Eyre right now, trying to get into that little bit of still air behind Jack Eyre. Like that? I did. Yeah, as we go in towards Brundles just now, and then pull it back up on the brakes for Nelson, named after, well, is it Nelson, Lord Admiral Nelson, or is it Nelson Peaky? You can make your own mind up for that, but Dr. Jonathan Palmer, the head of MSV, will know exactly who that corner is named after. Through Coram in towards Murray's. Beautiful, beautiful corner is Coram, and we're on lap 4 of this race, and McFadden, Andy, I don't think he's finished where he's sitting just now. I think Jack Eyre is in big, big danger of being McFaddened. Yeah,
Jack Eyre is giving McFadden a toe down the straight here. That's bringing McFadden into play here as well. Last time round, it was a 59.7 for Jack Eyre, but Stuart McFadden, I beg your pardon, actually, Jack Eyre has just posted the fastest lap of the race. The timings have just been updated. It was a 59.4 for Jack Eyre, but it was also a 59.4 for Stuart McFadden. Look at that. It was 3/1000 of a second between the two of them. McFadden goes a long way around here, around Montreal. Surely not going to perhaps try and get the cut back and then get the run, but I think Eyre's got that move done nice and cleanly on exit as well. He goes over to the far right, dab of the brakes as they make their way into Palmer. McFadden's not managed to find a way through this time round.
As we still look back at Stuart McFadden from Jack Eyre, the Rethink Racing driver number 13. And there's McFadden up the inside, and has Jack seen him? Obviously has. Jack gives him a nice bit of racing room there. That was classy driving from two classy men up towards Hamilton side by side. Jack knows that he's still in with this. Yes, and he manages to cut the nose off on Stuart McFadden. Stuart with a good move on the brakes here, but what that does is the car on the outside carries more momentum round the corner and can pick the throttle up that bit quicker as he's on a wider line. But McFadden still not finished with this. Three Augies as they go on to Williams and down the back straight. But having said that, McFadden just on the back right quarter of Jack Eyre just now, but Jack still very much in the driving seat as they come down. They'll go through Brundles and he'll just edge the car across the nose of Stuart McFadden here, as you can see. Nice move from Jack Eyre there as they go through Brundles in towards Nelson's. Such a short braking zone, Nelson's. You really can't be doing too much there. And you can see how out of shape McFadden's car was getting as he comes through Brundles, and that ultimately is what caught Adam Brown out earlier on and had Adam off the road. Who is that? Is that Ryan Smith just deciding that the grass is better than tarmac, so why not use that? He'll come back on the track in just a minute. But it's Weddle, Corson, Air, McFadden, and that's somebody else. Was that Sam Corson?
Sam Corson.
Has he lagged out there?
Sam Corson's had a moment there. He was in second place. Let's see what happened there. It's been a moment for the Rethink Racing driver. He makes his way around Coram there. I just wonder if it's perhaps the back end of the car got light. It has. Look, the back end's got light, but then he's pulled off. So
that's just switched off.
Something's gone wrong there. Something's gone wrong at all. It could be some kind of hardware, perhaps, at home for Sam Corson, but it looked like the rear end got a little bit light, but then he's just brought it back to the side of the road and parked up. So a disaster for him because he was sitting well in second place. But all the meantime, McFadden's made the move on Jack Air into Montreal. Will Air look to have a nibble back into Palmer? Perhaps he thinks better of it. McFadden's got it covered, and it's been a great race for Stuart McFadden, up 6 places from where he started.
I think poor Sam Corson's inherited the internet that I had 2 weeks ago, guys. If you remember that, there was all sorts of voice comms going. So, yeah, Sam Corson completely gone. 14th place, disaster. And Andy Alston, you absolutely nailed that in the head there. Nailed it in the head for Stuart McFadden. What a race it has been for Stuart McFadden. Caught up in that second corner pile-up, which was nothing to do with him or Fraser Williamson, as they were both T-boned, or not T-boned, or Liberace'd from the back, call it whatever you like. They had no involvement in that. And a great shame. You can see the damage that he's still sporting, but that damage hasn't faulted that car. It's not made him slow down. He's not lost performance. I'm not going to say he's gained performance because he's just been stunning and stellar all the way through this. As we're on to lap 6, Michael Weddle, there's your leader. We haven't seen too much of Flymo, which is quite good for him. It's been a bit of a dull race at the front for Michael Weddle, but he'll be loving that because he's on his own. He knows he's got 2.6 seconds from McFadden. What can he do here, though? This is for the champ. This must be good for the championship, Andy. Correct me if I'm wrong. McFadden's scoring strongly here. Fraser Williamson, it's probably best to don't mention that in the post-race interviews.
Well, it's good news indeed for Michael Weddle because, of course, he sat out around. He didn't take part for the Silverstone event, so that meant that he's losing potentially again 105 points. So working out quite well for Weddle, I have to say. But yeah, it's been a quiet race for him. He's set off into the sunset there, really has Weddle. But just behind him, it's McFadden and Air having a good scrap. Michael McPherson, in the meantime, posting the fastest lap of the race with a 59.4. He's had a very impressive drive throughout his Michael McPherson, I think, kept that car on the track and out of trouble and picking up points into the bargain. Scott Malcolm, another driver who's had a very good race, I have to say, up 4 places in this one and was making moves throughout as well. So been a good one for the Team Mad driver, and with a few minutes left to go in this one, I think he'd be more than content with a 5th place finish.
Yeah, that is not Scott Malcolm's real hair, as we will mention again in his driver profile picture, but we wish it was. 5th place for Scott Malcolm. Cracking stuff as Dave Christie goes up the inside of Davy Bolton, and that's a very red car and red wheels that David Bolton's got on his. Almost looks like a Vauxhall. Is he a Vauxhall, man? I can't remember, but Dave Bolton goes back towards the inside of the camber. Media guru Dave Christie, but Christie manages to hold that one off, and that puts Dave Christie into 17th place, and these guys are just like they're weaving backwards and forwards, almost speaking to each other on track just now. Behind David Bolton, we've got John Proctor, and somebody else goes off the road there. Now, who is that? That's Nathan Lamond, and Nathan Lamond was involved with Cameron Ritchie. There he is, Cameron, who we normally see working on the cars at PCR, and Paul Curtis Racing runs a good lot of Fiesta STs at Knockhill. And Cameron, well, he's been in the paddock. He's one of his journeymen. He's been in the paddock as a mechanic for a long, long time. As we pick back up with Michael Weddle at the front as he goes through Coram. We're on lap 7, 13 minutes 50 gone. And McFadden, he's trying. He's not going to give up. We know that, Andy Alston. But 2.5 seconds was the gap the last time round. It'd be good to see what the gap is this time as they come across the start-finish line, as they climb up towards the start-finish line. The centre straight here, it is a long, long climb. It's one of these slow burners. It's not something you want to be jogging or cycling. 2 minutes flat for Weddle, 1:59.4 for McFadden. Do you sense danger, Andy, or are we too far through the race now?
Well, it's if there's one man that can close a gap and make a late move here, it would be Stuart McFadden. Very, very impressive drive from him. Jackie is just a little bit of about 5 tenths of a second or so behind McFadden is there. So I suspect with this being the last lap of the race, McFadden could well have this one covered. I don't think Air's going to be able to make a move unless McFadden has a wee bit of a moment further behind. Michael McPherson, 4th place as well. I think he's also a wee bit too far behind. So Yeah, it's been an interesting finale, I have to say. Looking further back, Stuart Wyness coming under a bit of pressure, late pressure from Rory Bryant, car number 27, the purple car. They're looking to perhaps make a bit of a move further behind. Two cars going side by side is Adam Brown, who makes a move on John Duncan before they go into Agostini. Can he make it stick? However, a little bit of door-to-door contact between the pair of them, but both cars coming through relatively unscathed. Adam Brown getting the better exit and securing 8th place in this race.
Yeah, JD Bear, John Duncan, clean driver. We miss him on track in the real world, but never mind. We'll get him back at some point. Adam Brown just ahead of John Duncan in that 24 car down the Bentley straight. That looks very close from that camera angle, but we see it from the real front view. And Michael Weddle has got this one in the bag. He's got 3 corners to go. Having said that, we've seen things go very much wrong. And has Jack Eyre got anything left in that locker? He's got lots of tricks in his pocket. Can Jack Eyre do anything on this, the last couple of corners? As they come through, Stuart Wyness up the inside of Scott Malcolm. There's a little bit of contact over the curb. Malcolm tries to come back on the inside. He won't want to throw away the best position he's got yet. Wyness goes into 6th place on Bryant. Sorry, I'm getting a bit confused there. I'm at Scott Malcolm further up the road. Thank you very much for keeping me right. But here comes Michael Weddle flashing the lights. He will take the race 3 reverse grid win. McFadden 2nd, Jack Eyre 3rd. That's signed and sealed. McPherson comes across with Scott Malcolm in 5th place. He'll be delighted with that. And Jack Eyre pulls on the handbrake to go through Ritchie's and drifts it towards the Montreal hairpin. But a cracking race that. Unfortunately, a big bit of damage and contact at the first Montreal hairpin, Andy. But that is almost inevitable in certain races we're going to have.
Yes, of course it is. You know, the first lap is all about keeping that car out of trouble, but unfortunately, if the car behind has a bit of a moment, a bit like that one there Sam Crossan just had going into the first corner. So if something like that happens and you're in front, you're just a little bit of a passenger. There's not much you can do, unfortunately. But a good recovery drive from a number of drivers, all the same. And yeah, I'll be looking forward to hearing what a number of them have to say after this one.
Thank you very much. So will I, Andy. I'm just going to cool down with a little bit of water. And that's 3 frantic races here at the SMRC eSports Summer Cup from the Snetterton 300 circuit. I'm Duncan Vincent, joined as ever by Andy Alston, Sim Broadcast, live streaming partner for your next sim racing event. Have been fabulous as they always are. And remember, we've got to pick a racing driver for our Reese Motorsport Insurance Driver of the Day. And that will be something that we will have a little chat about on air, actually, Andy. I'm going to have to say it's got to be 5th place Scott Malcolm. I am flabbergasted with just how good a race Scott Malcolm put in there. You could maybe do with a haircut, but Andy, have you got anything that you want to sway to?
No, that's exactly who I would say as well. Duncan was Scott Malcolm. I think he's had a very impressive 3 drives. He's made up a number of places throughout, and when cars around him have come into contact and ended up in the barriers, Scott's kept that car out of all sorts of problems, and I think he's a very worthy winner of the Driver of the Day award.
Well, there you go. Scott Malcolm, car 74, is our Reese Motorsport Insurance Driver of the Day. He takes it for the Snetterton 300 round with a stunning, not just driving the last race, but, you know, he got there and he was involved in that reverse grid race. So well done, Scott Malcolm. I managed to avoid all the carnage which was happening around about him. And yeah, we'll hopefully get him into the Discord room and we'll have a word with these guys in just a minute or two. But Andy, as ever, it's been a great night. Cracking stuff, good action, good racing. And the McFadden juggernaut trundles on.
Yes, it does, doesn't it? Very impressive 3 drives throughout from the Pure Sims driver. It's crucial championship points as well, of course. And I was very impressed with how he handled race 3, I have to say. You know, starting 8th on the grid. And it was just one of those ones where he picked his way through, but he chose his moments. You know, sometimes when you've got the pace and there's cars in front, you can get a little bit restless and just throw the car up the inside and just get hard on the brakes and hope for the best. But he was very calm and methodical as he gradually made his way through the pack, and will be more than happy with his performance at this event.
Okay, so our waiting room is starting to fill up on Discord, so I'm ready to go with that. I don't know if you guys fancy it. It'd be good to... Well, Andy, who would you like to get us in first to the room? I mean, are we going to go for Michael Weddle, the race 3 winner, or will we go for Stuart McFadden, who could have 3 out of 3 but was wiped out?
I think we'll go with our race winner from race number 3. It's the Rethink Racing driver of Michael Weddle. Let's hear from him now. Michael... must be happy with how that event's gone overall, considering a bit of a nervy moment at one stage.
Yeah, well, I take it you mean race 2.
Yes, and into the first corner. And I have to say, when we were watching that one, I thought that car's going straight into the barriers, but you managed to just wrestle it back on track and just get a good result into the bargain as well.
Yeah, I got a bit of contact from Jack that just seemed to upset the car a little bit, so we got a bit of snap or oversteer going through it. And then I hit the bump, which made it even worse, and then I was on the grass, and I was like, oh no, here we go. Flymo in his prime. But let's get it back.
Yeah, absolutely. And Michael, again, looking at that final race, it was one where you kind of just set off into the sunset, and we didn't see too much of you on the footage, but it just looked like you managed to just pull off, and you had a bit of pressure from Sam Clausen throughout, but Sam unfortunately has had some kind of issue and had to pull off and retire from that race. But yeah, a good ending for your event here at Snetterton.
Yeah, definitely. Sam was driving really well. I think his monitor turned off halfway through the race. So I think that's what I had to take to the grass there. So, getting mechanical issues even in real life is a bit of a shame for Sam because he was doing really well. I was kind of just hoping Stuart was going to get held up in the pack a little bit, but apparently he had some damage as well, which was slowing him down. So I'm quite happy to maintain the gap to Stuart, though. But he's just stupid quick. I think he took 8 attempts out of me on the last lap, even with the straight line speed damage that he had. So yeah, no, delighted to get a win. Probably the only win I'm going to get, but we'll take it.
Good stuff, Michael. Look forward to seeing you on track for real at the next SMRC meeting in the Mini, and congratulations on a good Snetterton 300 coming away with a win in race number 3, pal.
Nice, look forward to it.
Thank you very much. We'll get Stuart McFadden in now, and we'll find out just exactly what Mr. TCR has got to say about that. Stuart, obviously, that Montreal hairpin on lap number 1 completely obliterated yourself and Fraser Williamson, which was a great shame. Did the car have any bad effects after that? Or because you seem to have a good head of steam.
Yeah, the car did have a bit of damage. I was losing 3/10 on the straights. Just on the back straight alone. I don't know where it was on the other straights because I wasn't looking at my relative. But I just got my head down and tried to make my way through the pack.
Are you able to shed any light to myself? It's just me and Andy Alston listening. Come on, I mean, what are you doing at the starts that makes you so good away from the line?
I'm not going to tell you. It's not. See, when you find out, you'll be like, that sounds completely simple. But I'm not going to let that cat out of the bag because unless everyone starts doing it, maybe then.
Stuart, we were chatting throughout the race about when you were in the lead, and just the fact that you were putting out fastest lap after fastest lap. A lot of the time, you see drivers who they know they've got a gap of a couple of seconds. It's just a case about being consistent and bringing the car home. But you just seem to be in the zone, and you're just—it's like you've got one mode which is just 100%. Go for it. Yeah,
that's it. There's no other way. I'm here to go as fast as I can. I've not paid all this money for this rig to hold back and not go as fast as I can. So that's just the way. I've never in a race been like, I'm just going to hold back here. I go for as you can probably tell, I go for every position that I can. With obviously this racecraft that comes into that, if I'm battling in a pack, then I won't, and I'll be a wee bit more decisive. But if I'm in a reverse grid race and the move's on, and it's safe to do so, I'm going for it.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about the rig, Stuart. What are you running on at the moment?
So obviously everything's supplied by Pure Sims. And so I'm running a GT1X Evo with a triple monitor mount and triple screens. I've got Hussenfeld Sprint pedals. And then I'm saving up for my direct drive wheel. But currently I'm just running my old trusty G29, which is doing me pretty well, to be honest. I've had it 3.5 years, so I think it's on its last legs, to be honest.
Well, that's an understatement. It's doing you pretty well. It's doing you very well, mate. You're still leading the championship going out of Snetterton. You'll be happy with that one. Get that car to the panel beaters because that back end of it needs very much rearranged. Stuart McFadden, congratulations. We look forward to seeing you at Donington, pal.
Thank you very much. I look forward to being there.
Thank you very much. And let's get a Reese Motorsport Insurance driver of the day in now. That is Scott Malcolm, who takes away the accolade of being the Reese Motorsport Insurance driver of the day. Scott, what a race in race number 3. That was sensational. You kept your head. You raced really well. And myself and Andy Alston both agree that you are the Reese Motorsport Insurance driver of the day. Congratulations. How does it feel?
I'm actually surprised at that. Wasn't expecting that at all.
You do need a haircut, though, if we look at your driver profile picture. I've been telling everybody that's not your hair, but I believe that possibly is your hair. Is that correct?
That could possibly be. Nah, honestly, it's been shaved off recently.
Scott, tell us a little bit about this Snetterton circuit and your approach to it, because we were chatting at the start saying it's 2 minutes for a lap. You know, it's a very different offering to what we've seen so far, not just in the Summer Cup, but the Spring Cup as well. So what was your mindset going into this one?
I wasn't expecting to do really well here. I did absolutely zero practice all week. I've raced a TCR in this track quite a few times, but I think it's been like about a year or so since I actually did it. So I actually came on tonight thinking it was, for some reason I thought it was going to be Donington or something like that. And I thought, oh, Snetterton. Oh God, I'm going to mess up here. But I think it's, I don't know what happened there. I really don't.
Well, what you can know is you are the Reese Motorsport Insurance Driver of the Day for the SMRC eSports Summer Cup TCR around the Snetterton 300 track, Scott. So congratulations. Head off to the fridge, grab yourself a cold one, and maybe follow this ritual. Maybe no practice for Donington. You never know. You might be there again.
Oh, I didn't jinx me.
Thanks, Scott. We'll catch up with you later on, pal.
Cheers, guys.
Okay, Fraser Williamson will be the next man coming into our room, and I'm expecting a pretty down kind of, oh, I'm not happy with that. Let's see if Fraser comes on as he jumps from waiting room to main room. Fraser, unlucky, mate. 2 stellar drives here, 2 real good drives, and then caught up with somebody missing a braking marker at the Montreal hairpin and obliterated your car and Stuart McFadden's car.
Stuart got away a bit easier from that one. He could still drive afterwards. I had no suspension, so yeah, that was the first bad luck of the of either of the championships so far. So I can't complain really.
And I mean, you're following Stuart round there. You know, you cracking race for you in the first 2 races. What are you noticing that Stuart's doing differently from what you're doing in the car? I know that you say that you haven't really done a lot of TCR stuff, but are you starting to find your feet with it now?
Oh, absolutely not. He's using the wheel and the pedals differently from I am, and I don't exactly know where and how, so I'm not close enough for him long enough to be able to tell. I make a mistake and he's gone, and then I'm not close enough to be able to take any real information from what his car's doing. I don't know. I'm getting ruined off the start, so I know that much for sure. So that's probably what is going to get worked on for next time out, is just getting off the start and into turn 1. It's a bit more confidence than what is currently getting shown.
And Fraser, what's your mindset going into Donington? Is that a track that you're comfortable with? You're happy with that one?
It exists. It's just another track at this point. Yeah, it's just going to be turn up. Hopefully, get a couple of podiums, survive race 3 like I always say, which didn't happen this time, and see where we end up. It's just tech off races, just keep on collecting points. The final, however many rounds is left of this championship, because I've forgotten.
Fraser, I always love when you come into the commentary box and give us a bit of a chat. No matter how your event's going, you sound exactly the same. You sound quite cheery. So we'll look forward to Donington, okay? Make sure the shoulders are up and the head's back and you're ready for Donington, and I'm pretty sure you'll come out guns a-blazing, mate.
That's a bit too enthusiastic, but we'll be there.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll catch up with you later on. The last person we're going to bring in for tonight is the Jack Ayer himself. Jack, who was caught up. First of all, Jack, welcome to the commentary box, and I'll hear a nice commentary voice in my ear just now when you say hello.
Hello.
There we go, love it. Jack, what happened at turn 1? Michael Weddle claims there was contact with you two. We didn't see contact. Was it a bit of a net code that maybe had Weddle off the road in race number 2?
It could have been a net code. I've not actually had a chance to scrub through the replay and look at it up close and personal, but it felt like a hit. I definitely had to react to it. I just tried to hold it around the outside to whoever it was that was on my inside at the time. And just ran up into the back of Mikey ever so slightly. And it's just enough to just loosen his rear end, and then, I felt bad. So I went wide in turn 2 and gave him the place back and tried to get my head down and fight further forward.
Well, Michael Weddle, if you're listening, I'm very sorry, but yeah, we had a bit of a replay. It wasn't the greatest replay, but it wasn't an on board. But hang on, it feels like I'm giving my guys a bit of a hard time with the replay now. But one of these things that happens. But Jack, you're looks like you're starting to find your feet in this TCR car.
Yeah, it's slowly getting there. I feel definitely a lot better about the pace this time around, but I think that's due to the nature of this track. It's so flat that you really do start to understand how much slip angle you've got. You know, you're not relying on undulations or any camber in the road, really. It's all about the steering wheel and the two pedals. So, yeah, getting closer to that. But, yeah, even in race 3, I was surprised that I kept Stuart behind me as long as I did. However, when he got past me, I realised, you know, he's got a crumpled boot and he's slow down the straight. So, you know, I understood why. But, yeah, he was just driving away from me. Like, mid-corner, I'd get on the power and think, oh, I audibly hear that my car's got on the throttle before him, and he would just literally just pull meters on me. Like, hats off to him. You know, fantastic racer.
And Jack, a good haul of points for you here at this Snetterton round as well, so you must be quite happy with that as well, going ahead and looking into the next event at Donington.
Yeah, first podium in a while as well, so 3 consistent results. Could have been better in race 2, but turn 1 happened, and I think I went down to about 8th and 9th. But yeah, happy with a couple top 5s and a podium. So yeah.
Jack, thank you very much, Jack. Sorry for talking over you there. It's been a pleasure having you in the commentary box, and let's hope for a better luck for you at Donington on July the 14th. So we'll catch up with you later on, and congratulations on a good Snetterton 300.
Cheers, boys. Take care.
Take care of yourself. That's Jack Eyre, the number 13 Rethink Racing driver. The Rethink guys, there's an armada of them out there, and they're all good drivers. That's the bit. And they're all trying to get up the sharp end off the field. But that brings the evening to a close. Myself, Duncan, Vincent, and Andy Alston have had a cracking event here. We do hope you've enjoyed it. Join us in a couple of weeks where Andy goes on holiday, and I'll be guiding this wonky ship with Pete from Sim Broadcasts around the Donington National Circuit on the 14th of July. Until then, a cracking event here. Stuart McFadden extends his championship lead, but Michael Weddle does come slightly back into it with a good victory in race number 3. Until next time, guys, take care. We'll see you soon.